Hi, everyone. Cole here with our Selkirk United Church midweek message for Wednesday, May 11th, 2022. I have two items to share with you today. The first one is about heaven, and the second one is about prayer. The one about heaven is from a short article in the latest edition of the United Church of Canada's national magazine, Broadview. This was written by Rod Carley, and it's titled A Sneak Peek at Heaven. Sounds interesting, doesn't it? I'll read it in Carley's words. He writes, "When I was 53 years old, I struggled with my own dark night of the soul. I prayed to God to send me a lifeline. 2 weeks later, on a hot summer evening, I sat, aimless and depressed, on the back deck of my bungalow in North Bay, Ontario, with my dog. Suddenly, an eerie calm came over me, and I was compelled to go for a walk. The sounds of street traffic, the buzz of air conditioners and cicadas, the ringing of crickets and the lapping waves of Lake Nipissing vanished. It was as if God had turned down the volume. Looking on either side of me, the houses, the trees, and the lake faded into a golden mist. It felt like I was walking above the street, as if the soles of my sandals had become a hovercraft. My hyperactive border collie was equally calm. As I walked, with no destination in mind, an incredible sense of peace and love welled up. I remember thinking, if this is heaven, sign me up. After a half hour of walking in this new state of bliss, God spoke to me. It was as if God was typing a message, one letter at a time, in my brain. Everything will be all right, it said. When I started to head home, the sounds of the night gradually returned. The houses and trees misted back, and I felt the pavement under my sandals. My life began to right itself, and within 6 months, I had a publishing contract for my first novel. It remains the most profound experience of my life. I got a sneak peek at heaven. Modern science has made the world more comprehensible, although in many respects it seems more mysterious. Maybe superstition was more widespread in the first century than it is today. However, the dreams of Leaf fans and the widespread interest in astrology makes me wonder. Not everything in the world has a physical explanation. How do we explain the existence of life in a sterile universe? What we might think we know ultimately remains a mystery. And mysteries like the resurrection require a leap of faith. As an adage states, theology is the study of God, religion is the worship of God, and mysticism is the experience of God. I've experienced God. In doing so, my mind went silent and my ego relinquished itself. The awakening of my soul allowed for proof of God's existence. The resurrection is a great demonstration of God's power. My moments of mysticism let me experience that power and made the literal reality of the resurrection plausible. That was from contributor Rod Carley, who is an author in North Bay, Ontario. He has a new book of short stories coming out in June called Grin Reaping. Grin Reaping. And the other piece I wanted to share with you today was written by Andrea Palmer, who is a small business owner who lives in Tilbury, Ontario. And she wrote this about prayer. Here's Andrea's words. I knew what I was going to share today, she said, but I needed a bit of solitude to do that. I'm in my store, looking out at the beautiful day that God has provided, and it makes me smile. I truly feel blessed. There's so much going on in our world, and I worry that to some, prayer may seem a useless exercise. We are asked to pray for so much by so many these days. Is there really enough time in our day? Can we possibly remember the request for prayer from Facebook friends we know, let alone those random heart-tugging photos from strangers? Mothers having surgery, sisters in hospital, husbands with illness, What about our own personal, rehearsed, steadfast daily prayers we repeat night after night? I thought of this when I saw a Facebook request from a good friend asking for prayers for her daughter going into surgery. A few hours later, another request from the same person for her mother, also in hospital. I have always said a prayer at night before bed, a habit from youth, I guess. That continued with me into adulthood. Do we have to pray at night? Do we have to name each and every person by name so God knows to direct God's aim? This never worried me before, nor did I give it a second thought until that day. That day, I realized that in that moment, both those moments, my thoughts immediately prayed for these individuals. But then I thought, shouldn't our minds always be ready to pray? Do we need a formal setting, a designated time or place? I say no. I say no because now, since that day, I pray more. I pray as I see the homeless and most likely mentally unhealthy person wander past my shop window. I pray for the individual that donated items to me that I can use to help others in my community. I pray for friends I have after a visit from them. I pray for a sunny day, a warmer day. I pray for me, that I will be a stronger person today than I was yesterday. I pray that as easy as it is to type the words, I will try each day to tell people in person, I will pray for you. If everyone could pray for each other every day, there would be no need to ask for special prayer requests. We would always have someone praying for us. If we pray as we witness the need, we could spread blessings to so many more. That was from Andrea Palmer from Tilbury, Ontario. At Selkirk United, we will continue to take special prayer requests for Sunday worship and say those aloud, but I would also encourage you to take some of Andrea's advice and to just pray more. It will bring all of us closer to God and likely closer to each other too, as we learn to fit more prayer and more caring into our daily routines. Sounds like a good idea to me. And that's this week's edition of Selkirk United Church's midweek message. See you again next week, if not sooner. Blessings and bye for now.